Om Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Shushrusho Shraddadhanasya Vasudeva Kadharuchi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanad Shrinvatam Sukadha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayantasto Hi Abhadrani Vidhunoti Suhrutsatam नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी तथा रजस्तमो भावा कामलोभादयश्च ये चेत एतैरनाविद्धं स्थितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति एवं प्रसन्नमनसो भगवद्भक्तियोगतः भगवत्तत्त्वविज्ञानं मुक्तसङ्गस्य जायते भिद्यते हृदयग्रन्थिश्छिद्यन्ते सर्वसंशया क्षीयन्ते चास्य कर्माणि दृष्ट एवात्मनीश्वरे ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Srimad Bhagavatam discussion at ISKCON Nepal. Today we will be discussing, reading and praying to Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 25, Verse 25. Very famous verse and must be very, very favorite of so many devotees, which is glorifying the devotees' association and glorifying Krishna Katha. So I thought it would be apt for us to focus on that and then discuss and then move from wherever we are in that process of receiving association and receiving Srimad Bhagavatam in our life. Satam prasangan mama viya samvido Satam prasangan mama viya samvido Bhavantirkarnarasayana kadha Tirkarnarasayana kadha Tajjoshanadashvapavargavatmani Tajjoshanadashvapavargavatmani Shraddharatirбхактираnukramishyati Shraddharatirбхактираnukramishyati Satam prasangan mama virya samvido Bhavanti hritkarnarasayana kadha Tajjoshanadashvapavargavatmani Shraddharatirбхактираnukramishyati. Word meaning. Satam of pure devotees, prasangat through the association, mama my, virya wonderful activities, samvida by discussion of, bhavanti become, hrid to the heart, karna to the ear, rasa ayanaha pleasing, kadha the stories, tat of that, joshanat by cultivation, ashu quickly, apavarga of liberation, vatmani on the path, shraddha firm faith, rati attraction, bhakti devotion, anukramishati will follow in order. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. In the association of pure devotees, discussion of pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and therefore he is freed, and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begin. Purport. The process of advancing in Krishna consciousness and devotion service is described here. The first point is that one must seek the association of persons who are Krishna conscious and who engage in devotional service. Without such association, one cannot make advancement. Simply by theoretical knowledge or study, one cannot make any appreciable advancement. One must give up the association of materialistic persons and seek the association of devotees, because without the association of devotees, one cannot understand the activities of the Lord. Generally, people are convinced of the impersonal feature of the absolute truth. Because they do not associate with devotees, they cannot understand the absolute truth can be a person and have personal activities. This is a very difficult subject matter, and unless one has personal understanding of the absolute truth, there is no meaning to devotion. Service or devotion cannot be offered to anything impersonal. Service must be offered to a person. Non-devotees cannot appreciate Krishna consciousness by reading the Srimad Bhagavatam or any other Vedic literature wherein the activities of the Lord are described. They think that these activities are fictional, manufactured stories, because spiritual life is not explained to them in the proper mode. To understand the personal activities of the Lord, one has to seek the association of devotees, and by such association, when one contemplates and tries to understand the transcendental activities of the Lord, the path to liberation is open and he is freed. One who has firm faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes fixed, and his attraction for association with the Lord and the devotees increases. Association with devotees means association with the Lord. The devotee who makes this association develops the consciousness for rendering service to the Lord, and then, being situated in the transcendental position of devotional service, he gradually becomes perfect. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunadanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances to those devotees who are present on this call and who may be hearing later. I seek all of your prayers and blessings for me to be able to share something on this very, very beautiful and one of my most favorite verses at a level that's conducive to me, as well as which can pull me up in the beautiful message that this verse is giving. By no means I have any deep realizations of this subject that this verse is talking about. In fact, last night I was thinking maybe I should call Lakshmikant Prabhu and say, Prabhu, I'm not able to speak tomorrow morning. But then I said, I have two choices. One is just say, oh, I'm not able to, I'm not even able to join the morning classes. Just even though the opportunity is there for all of us at the convenience of our homes and whatnot, thanks and a lot of dedication from Lakshmikant Prabhu. But in spite of that, I'm not able to use this opportunity. What Krishna is, Kapila Devi is describing here. Satam prasangan mama virya samvidho. Every morning we are getting this opportunity. How wonderful it is. Of course, not only our ISKCON morning classes, but so many spiritual masters, so many of the devotees, thanks to COVID, we have these opportunities to hear and take the association of the devotees through that hearing. But in spite of that, our lives are so busy and, we can't really make use of it. So in one sense, I was feeling so disqualified to speak on this verse. But on the other hand, I said, you know what, let me take this opportunity and pray to this verse and pray to this Satam and pray to that most merciful and loving Krishna in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. If they so desire, they can actually pull me up from whatever, stopping me from taking this opportunity. So with that intent, sharing this. So if there is any message or anything I speak above my level, it's just purely coming from the inspiration of the verse itself, Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna and my spiritual master and the other devotees from whom I have had the opportunity to hear earlier. So with that, I will say the verse in translation once again. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katha tajjoshanadashvapavargavatmani shraddharatir bhaktiranukramishyati. I think we don't even need to go through the translation. The Sanskrit itself is so beautiful and such simple and self-explanatory. Satam prasangan. So Satam, the pure devotees. So when we are in the pure devotees association, what do? So one thing is having the opportunity to have the association of the devotees. But once we have the devotees with us, what do we do in that association? What do we do in their company? We could do so many things. I mean, even if we are in the association, we can talk about things and we can do stuff and so much can go on. But what Kapila Devi is describing here is Mama Virya Samvido, my wonderful activities discussing. So he's telling one who has the opportunity to have association of the devotees is most fortunate. Actually, this particular section in 3rd canto, chapter 25, describes the beautiful and fortune and grace that how do we know a sadhu and how do we get the association of sadhus and what does it mean to have the association and how fortunate it is to have that association. And in this verse, it's describing in that association one who has the opportunity to hear Krishna Kada, they are even most fortunate. I mean, we cannot understand the degree of fortune that we have here. And then what happens if one does that? Bhavanti hrit karna rasayana katha. that Katha, that Krishna Katha, the past times of the Lord, the past times of the devotees and their relationship with the Lord, that becomes Rasayana, which is very pleasing to Hrit Karna. Hrit is heart and Karna is ears. It becomes so pleasing to the heart and ears. And I was thinking when I was seeing, most of the activities that we do, we want to seek happiness. Of course, sometimes we just have to do things out of duty and where we are, like in terms of office work or housework or temple services, we may do things out of obligation or like whatever, duty or fear or pressure. So many motivations could be there for us to do a particular thing. But given an opportunity, if somebody says, you have this whole day to yourself, you don't have any services, you don't have any work at home. I mean, how wonderful it is. Just thinking of itself. But let us say we are given that opportunity. Where do we go? What is that our heart and mind is attracted to? That which is actually pleasing to us. That which is, we hanker, oh, I want to do that. I want to do that. We keep postponing. The heart is there, the desire is there, but in the day-to-day things, we may get lost and never get to do those things which are actually pleasing and nourishing to us. Even in devotion service, I have so many, to-do lists like that, but it just sometimes weeks to get to that in the, sometimes even in the name of devotion service, if you're not conscious, we can just get lost in the flow and, like, okay, where did all my time go? What did I do? I wanted to do this for a long time. So that is what this activity is, which gives such pleasure to Hrit Karna. Of course, I'm not there who can have that kind of a pleasure if I read Bhagavatam, but some of us can be there. And definitely, we have seen so many of wonderful devotees who are visiting to ISKCON Nepal who has that kind of a taste. I mean, Amarendra Prabhu, wow. When he's speaking, it's like, oh, it's so beautiful. The way he is describing, you can literally see Krishna in front of your eyes as Prabhu is describing this. Krishna is standing there and all the gopas, they're coming and face painting and decorating with flowers and, whatnot. And then the other one comes and removes and then again decorates him. And Krishna is standing there. It's just such a beautiful image, like right in front of our eyes, we would be actually seeing. And that actually gives so much pleasure. I mean, in one sense, if we, those of us who have had the fortune and opportunity to attend Prabhu's recent seminar here at Nepal, we could recollect. And just by remembering that, actually now as I'm describing, my heart is filled with joy and such bliss, like, thinking of Krishna and the Gopas and how joyful they are in Krishna's association and serving him in different ways. And then we have this opportunity of His Holiness Ramapal Swami Maharaj. I mean, he could choose so many other places, but he keeps coming here. We may say, oh, Maharaj is coming again. Oh, my schedule is upset and this and that, whatever. We can crib about it so much. But on the other hand, when we are in the class, we can see, I mean, how absorbed he is. Particularly, I mean, I just love the morning classes and particularly hearing in person. Of course, recording, we can hear, but somehow for me, sitting in front of Maharaj and hearing, I feel like I don't need anything else in my life. It's just such absorption. He is actually feeling this. Hrit Karna Rasayana. It's giving so much pleasure to his heart and ears and mind, everything. And what happens when we are in that association, like these two examples, and so many other devotees who have visited here, and of course, not only visited, so many devotees that we have the fortune, Premananda Mathaji, we may know one side of her, most of us may not know the other side. those who have come recently and seeing her just in that administrative role. But you have to see her just absorbing in Bhagavatam. If you give Mataji Srimad Bhagavatam and just no administrative role, she can continue 24/7, no complaints. She has such taste in Bhagavatam. And of course, it didn't come just fall from sky for all these devotees. They have taken the association of such devotees who have so much taste and they have cultivated that. So that is another thing I was thinking from this verse, because Kapiladev is saying here that Joshanat Ashu Apavargavatmani. This word Ashu, is like, okay, here he's saying quickly, but it doesn't seem so quick. My heart has all these kinds of stuff. And, last night I was thinking, hey, come on, Amrita-Keli, what are you trying to do here, speaking Bhagavatam? And did you see what all is in your heart? And, I was like, okay, then what is this verse saying? I was trying to hear whatever, a little bit. But is it really happening? This Ashu, is this quickly, happening? Am I really on the path of liberation? In one sense, yes. I was thinking about this. The time scale we are seeing, I see okay, it's been whatever, I don't know, maybe now 8 years or 9 years since I've been practicing devotion service. But that 8 years or even 20 years or 30 years, sometimes we hear from the devotees after 30, 40 years, they're like, oh, I still have so many anarthas. Oh, I'm not able to chant attentively. And then when I hear, I was like, what am I doing here? Is it even possible for me to, be ever have that attention for the holy name or Srimad Bhagavatam? But on the other hand, I think for each of us, if we see wherever 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, we can see that we have moved. Maybe the progress or advancement is not so much in comparison or proportion to what we are expecting, of course, because of, again, reading Bhagavatam and hearing Bhagavatam, because Srimad Bhagavatam sets the ideal. Very high stage of devotion service, totally unmixed, ahaituki apratihata. I was like, there is no way ahaituki. I mean, so many eternal motivations are there for every service that I'm doing. Of course, it's not that we don't have any motivation to please Krishna. We do, but that's somewhere just on one corner, while all this other stuff is so much occupying that heart. But if we see this Ashu in terms of the overall time frame of the soul, which is infinite, and in that sense, even if it takes few lifetimes or many lifetimes, out of millions and millions of lifetimes, few lifetimes, I mean, that's amazing. If we see, zoom out and see that big picture, that's amazing. So probably each of us can take a couple minutes and reflect on that. Okay, fine, I'm not there where I'm supposed to, but did I move from where I was 5 years back, 10 years back, 20 years back? Obviously. And we can actually see how this hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and how seeing these devotees who have such absorption in Bhagavatam, how they are living their life. And that actually touches the heart. It's like, okay, wait a minute. So they're able to, so what is happening? So a little bit of that introspection and that desire arises. You know what? I have been trying to chant for these many years, but it's going on just that external platform, just in the, just reciting and just saying the mantra with the mouth and hearing it. But is it really touching the heart deeply? You know what, my dear holy name, my dear Krishna, I really want to chant deeply. I don't want to stay at this stage anymore. That comes when we are in the association of the devotees who have such kind of sincere desire and who are practicing on that level. And another thing is, when we see this Satam prasangan, it doesn't have to be like, oh, super high pure devotees. I can take their association, but what is this like? Oh, these are like all chota mota devotees, all small devotees. Oh, they have so many anarthas. I don't really have to take their association. We may tend to think sometimes like that, looking down upon especially our peers, our younger devotees, because when we associate so closely and do services, we do see their faults. Obviously, all of us have faults as we are on this path. We are traversing, and while in the stage of purification, we do have so many things, and they do come up in this close association when we are doing the services. But what we need to see is that sincere desire in the hearts of the devotees, that Krishnaika Sharanam, they have that as a core, even though whatever other stuff may be there, but that is actually guiding the devotees wherever we are, whoever is committed and like giving their time and energy. I mean, I was thinking of this Janmashtami festival or the book distribution, like the temple construction, any of these big services. Some devotees are serving in like huge capacity. Some of us can't even imagine. I mean, I was thinking of Kadamrita Mathaji or Vamshidhari Prabhu, Sumangala Mathaji, Sham Prabhu, Premanand Mathaji. I mean, it's like, wow, how is it even possible? Like, it's kind of beyond our capacity and imagination. But Krishna has given different kinds of empowerment and different kinds of inclinations to each of us. And every devotee is serving in their capacity. And what I wanted to focus here is while serving in that way, whether it's a small service or big service or smaller capacity or huge capacity, each of us have that intention to do this, to please Krishna, to please Srila Prabhupada, the spiritual master, or the devotees. So that is what makes the association conducive. It's not that definitely the association of a pure devotee, Lava Matra, is enough, but it doesn't negate or it doesn't minimize the association of the peers that we have around us. So that is one aspect I was thinking. And then Ashu. So we talked about the time frame, how things are actually moving and that purification is happening. And then one is on this path of Apavarga Vartmani, on the path of Apavarga, the liberation. And this liberation is not so much of impersonal liberation, but it's more like becoming free from the material contamination. That is actually the liberation. It's not like, just merging onto something, but we have this verse in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which says, even like while within this material body, Jivan Mukta Savachate, like even while within this material body, one can be a mukta, one can be liberated. And then this last line here is like even more amazing and interesting. Kapil Dev says, Shraddha Ratir Bhaktir Anukramishati. So firm faith, attraction, and then devotion will follow in order. I was thinking, did he put it in this order just because it rhymes, the Sanskrit knows? Because we feel, oh, the bhakti is there, the devotional service, which can lead to this firm faith and attraction. But he's not doing it just to, have the meter or something. It's actually the real devotion he's talking about, the unmixed devotion service, the pure bhakti he's talking about, which actually comes after one attains this firm faith, nishtha, steadiness, and then ruchi, and then the attraction, rati, and then the devotion begins. So Prabhupada actually writes here, and purport, association with the devotees means association with the Lord. The devotees who make this association develops the consciousness for rendering service to the Lord, and then being situated in the transcendental position of devotional service, of Sorry, this is not what I was talking about. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I thought I read it in this purport. Maybe it's just the translation. Then real devotion and devotional service begin. Yeah, I think it's just the translation. Sorry. So we may question then, what are we doing here? I was actually, going through this. We keep hearing devotional service is perfect, devotional service is uncontaminated and whatnot. And then we do see that we are practicing devotional service and, it doesn't seem so pure and so uncontaminated that Srimad Bhagavatam is describing. So we may wonder, like, what's happening? Do I have devotion to Krishna, and am I a devotee? The Satam prasangan this verse is talking about. And then the question is, I think even in Bhagavad Gita, this verse 728 talks about Esham Twantagatam Papam Jananam Punya Karmanam Te Dvanda Moha Nirmukta Bhajan Te Mam Dhrida Vrata. So only when one becomes completely free from all the sinful activities, all the material contamination, then the devotion begins. Then it's like, okay, what am I doing? And then there is this section in to address that issue. There is this section in third canto, chapter 29. Kapil Dev describes devotional service in the modes. So I was remembering His Holiness Rampa Swami Maharaj. He used to speak a lot on this third canto, and when we started, like 8-9 years. So I remember him mentioning this many times. But at that time, I was not so clear. Now I think things are getting a little bit more clear. It's devotional service in the mode. That doesn't mean that devotional service is contaminated. It's not. Devotional service is mixed. But because we are in those modes, our consciousness is contaminated by those modes. We are approaching devotional service in that consciousness. It's like, looking through that filter. And that's what the color we see. But what's beautiful is when we are in the association, when we are doing this, practicing the devotional service, the key is the association of the devotees. So the power of association of devotees and the power of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, that can actually clear the heart, apavarga vartmani. And then the real devotion, the devotional service, which is not mixed with those modes, can gradually arise. So, I keep going through this. Oh, I don't have any devotion. I'm not a devotee, whatever my mind keeps telling me. But then I realized it's not that I don't have any devotion. I have some devotion. I have to, agree to that fact, definitely. But right now it's tainted with the modes. It's tainted with whatever, other stuff, distractions or attractions that I have developed over the course of this lifetime or past lifetimes. That's what, I'm being dragged to once in a while towards that side. Or even while performing the services, I may have those things that are covering the motivation for the service. But that doesn't mean that the devotion is not there. So what we need to focus here is that intention and eagerness to come to the stage of unmixed devotion. And having such faith in the Satam Prasangan, the association of the devotees, and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna can do the work. It's not that, Prabhupada says many times in Srimad Bhagavatam, automatically. When automatically, it's not like mechanical. You just start some switch and then the machine starts working. It's not, it is true. The power of devotees and Bhagavatam can work in that way. But because we are dealing with real people here, we are a person and we have the heart and we have the free will. So we need to choose, we need to be conscious, we need to cultivate the desire to become serious and to become sincere. When that happens, then Krishna says, vidhunoti suhrut satam. He actually enters when Shrinvatam Sukadha Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtanaha, Hridayante Ustohi Abhadrani Vidhunoti suhrut satam. I remember in the beginning, Prem Tarangi Mataji was telling like a pressure wash. Krishna gets a pressure wash and cleans in the heart. When we hear this Punya Shravana Kirtana, Krishna's pastimes and Krishna's relationship with the devotees in Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, the instructions of the Lord and his pastimes, Krishna actually does that work. When we desire, when we pray to Krishna to do that thing. So that's one of the key aspects of the process of bhakti. It's not so much mechanical or automatical in the sense, it's not like, okay, I start doing stuff and I'll be shut off my heart or mind or whatever. No, we actually perform the devotional service with our heart, with our intelligence, with our mind, how much ever we are able to. It's not like, oh, I don't have complete attention, so I cannot chant. How much ever we are able to, we can do from that place, but with that prayerful mode, with that eagerness. So that is what I was thinking. And I just want to bring two anecdotes. I think we have time. One is only Srimad Swami Maharaj was speaking about this verse, I think a couple months back. It's a very short but very beautiful class. Maharaj was talking about one of the morning walks of Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan. So Maharaj was there, looks like, with Srila Prabhupada, but very few devotees were there. So when Prabhupada went on morning walk, not many devotees were there. So while coming back, they were done with the walk and they're about to approach the temple to greet the deities, and they could hear the kirtan in the far at the gate of the temple. They're not quite close there. And then Prabhupada stopped and asked, where are the devotees? Very few are there around him. And one of the disciples said, Prabhupada, they're all at the gate waiting for you doing the kirtan. And then Prabhupada walked a few more steps and put his cane down and then said, where are the devotees? When there is an opportunity for Vapu, one should be eager to take that association, because Vapu is very, very important. Just by seeing the devotee, or like, having the glance of the such pure devotee on us, it's very, very powerful. Just like one glance of them, one word from them, one gesture from them can actually remove, miles and miles or like heaps and heaps of contamination in our hearts. Such is the power of the glance of a devotee who is carrying Krishna in their heart to that kind of an extent. So then Prabhupada says, Vapu also includes Vani. When we are with the devotees, we need to hear. Vani is important. But whenever the opportunity is there, Vapu is very important. We need to do the personal service. So when I heard that from Maharaj, I was thinking about, here at Nepal, we have many, many opportunities. It is true, with a bigger temple, there are bigger services and whatnot. But somehow the eagerness, I won't necessarily say eagerness, but the timing or the schedules or whatever, we can only do so much. It's unfortunate that not all of us are able to make use of that opportunity when the devotees comes here. But what I was thinking for myself and probably for others too who are struggling like that, we can prioritize and we can actually make sure we at least have the opportunity as much as possible. And when we have that desire in the heart, I have experienced this, like in spite of quite busy schedule at work and this and that, whatever was going on. When we like really ardently pray and desire that I really want to take the association. I really want to go to this morning class. Things somehow very magically, manifest in such a way that we will be able to. So that is something we can pray. Of course, we don't have to become like, okay, I have to attend every single class and whatnot. We can try as much as possible the whole next month. It would be amazing with two Maharajas and Devakinandan Prabhu, His Holiness Prabhupada Swami Maharaj and His Holiness Vedavyasa Pri Maharaj. They're coming to give their association. So whether we are able to actually get the opportunity or not, we can at least desire to have that association. And through that, Radha Shyam Sundar can, do some magic in our lives that we are able to find that time. And that's one thing, be eager for that association. And then again, another thing about the association of the devotees, this is from Unveiling the Lotus Feet, Burjan Prabhu writes in this section, very beautiful. I remember being with Prabhupada and being painfully aware of my own insincerity. Or perhaps I was simply distracted or in a terrible mood. Then Srila Prabhupada would ask, so everything is all right? That question forced me to bathe in the compassionate, moon-like rays of his pure heart. And miraculously, I would find that everything really was all right. This was neither a mystical trick nor some form of material charisma on Prabhupada's part. Rather, his open-hearted association offered me a taste of Goloka Vrindavan, and the full flavor of his own taste planted a seed of the same flavor in his disciples' heart. Although Sadhu Sangha is a foundational principle in spiritual life, it is based on a still more general principle. That is, association transfers the contents of one person's heart into another's heart. The heart is like a crystal and it naturally becomes colored by whatever is around it. If one associates with materialists, one becomes tinged with materialism. If one associates with drunkards, one will become a drunkard. Association with sincere devotees turns one into a sincere devotee. Therefore, association with advanced devotees is essential for those seeking to advance in Krishna consciousness. Yeah, so this aspect of Burjan Prabhu describing his own experience, it's not, in one sense it is mystical, but Prabhu is saying it's not, some sentimental, mystical way or something. It's really connecting to the deep compassion that Prabhupada has for each of us, as spiritual masters have for each of us, and the devotees who are guiding in our lives, how much they wish well for us and how much they want to help us to advance so that we don't suffer on this lower platform. When we understand that and really receive, open our hearts to receive that, something does touch, something does change, something does transform in our hearts. And that can actually, make us go through this Apavarga Vartmani, because what happens is all the other contaminations will clear off with that power. And gradually, all we are aspiring for, that kind of unmixed, unmotivated devotional service to Krishna can come. I haven't prepared so much, but just these are some of the thoughts of my appreciation of personally hearing from the devotees and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Just some of my personal thoughts, because hearing is one of the most nourishing and most strength-giving aspect in my devotional service, more than anything else. So it's just from that place, I just wanted to share a few things. It's not so much for giving the class or for anybody else, but it's just to bring all those aspects more alive in my own heart and to revive that eagerness and enthusiasm for me to read, hear, and take the association of devotees. Thank you so much. And I don't know who is there. Okay, Haridwani Prabhu and Chintamani Mataji. We have a few more minutes. If you want to stop here, that's fine. But I would like to hear from you both. I think Lakshmikant Prabhu is there too. You three, if you would like to share any of these moments, I mean, if it's not too personal and you don't want to share, something that really touched the heart and really opened the heart. I'm sure some of the moments will be there in the association of devotees or while hearing Bhagavatam. If you would like to share or any further thoughts on what we discussed. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhu, I can hear you.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much. So for taking the class this morning. so I was thinking, I think primarily, the one that we perform. I think you mentioned about what is that we are doing, right? Unless one is a in that pure stage, one cannot perform devotional service. But I am not that stage. But then I think I was also, you touched upon the intention, right, with which we are doing those activities. Krishna
Yeah.
will and help us to purify us. So I was just thinking, even simple prayers, right? We are not pure, but if simple intention or simple desire will help us to get something uh, in devotional service, right? For example, if I want to do some service, specific service, if I pray, I didn't need to pray intentionally. Sometimes even with simple desire itself, Krishna will fulfill those wishes. So I was just thinking. So yeah, I don't need to be a pure devotee to get something. I'm not talking about material. I'm talking about even the spiritual service itself, right? So maybe Chintamani Mataji can add a lot of things here. So with her service decorations, yeah. So yeah, I was just thinking about simple things, right? When we simply intend to serve Krishna in a specific way, so as devotees, we get that fulfilled in an easier way without even it's like magical, right?
I
That
know. I have had those moments. I'm like, what is Radha Shyam Sundar hearing? Personally, I feel so much reciprocation from them. As you're saying, sometimes it's not even a deep prayer or something, just a tiny desire. Oh, I want to do this or I want to serve in this way. And like, boom, some devotee has me. I was like, what? How did you know? So that is what the last line is saying, when we are in the devotees association, a tiny desire has to be there. And then Krishna reciprocates. As you are sharing, as I'm sharing, I'm sure same thing with Haridwani Prabhu and Chintamani Mataji. Uh, when we see that reciprocation, I was like, wow, they're just so compassionate and so loving in spite of I don't have so much. So how can I serve them more? So, it keeps going more and more. Yeah, that's so beautiful. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu, for bringing that.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, and Hare Krishna, all of you. I'm actually in the Pujari room, so a little distracted with what I'm doing. But,
it's not distraction, that is the core. This is distraction.
but fortunately, I have Dhananjay Pandit Prabhu and Balram Prasad Prabhu, and all of us are like listening little as we are able to.
Jai. Thank you so much. And probably that's the reason, just your presence is somehow, making me connect to this verse.
Mataji. But the one thing that I did think of is, this about our abhadras. That's the one thing that keeps haunting me about my all of my shortcomings and offenses and everything. So I was actually relating to whatever I was able to hear. I was relating to that a lot. However, like you were saying, in spite of that, there are so many times that, like, you desire. Even little things like what was it? I think Bir Krishna, I mean, just recently, I forget even, but Bir Krishna Maharaj, I had made some garlands with the Maha. And then I think Mataji, Mataji had also arranged garlands. I mean, although I told her I'll try to do. And one of the garlands, and actually Lakshmikant Prabhu can relate to it, it was made of marigolds. And he said, no, I'm allergic to marigolds. So I was like, okay, then let me run and get my garland. I mean, not my Maha garland.
Yeah.
Because so many such things. I mean, small, big, the Lord is like hearing. And so many ways. And then, of course, there are many other things where I feel like, why aren't you hearing me, Krishna? I'm praying for this, please. Give me some attraction to the name, please. So yeah, but yeah, definitely. I mean, what you talked about is so practical, so relevant in so many ways. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mathaji. Yeah, it's interesting. Krishna selectively hears. No. No.
I guess in the right time, right? And then there are times when it's like, really, can't you hear me? Come on. It's like, okay, must not be the right time yet.
Yeah, I totally relate to that. I mean, I go through those phases so much so that I become like totally rebellious or even angry with Krishna. Okay, you know what? You don't want to hear me? Okay, fine. I don't want to do anything with you. But when something like this happens, I'm like, oh, my sweet Radha Shyam, you're so merciful. How could I do this with you? It's just so sweet. So Prabhupada actually brings that aspect in this purport. Sorry, I didn't go through the purport. I have read ahead, but I didn't go through line by line. But Prabhupada brings this. Service is not too impersonal. It's not like Radha Shyam Sundar are standing as idols and we just do whatever we want. We may think like that, but it's not so. It's very personal and it's very dynamic. So this thing, yes, he is manifesting and reciprocating even the tiniest desire that we have, even though we may not seriously pray for it. But on the other hand, he's not hearing so much. So I was thinking, we have, it's not like grossly impersonal, but in one sense, we are putting Krishna in this box. Okay, you're reciprocating this way, so you have to reciprocate here also this way. Okay, you say Prahlad Maharaj, you should say Parikshit Maharaj too. And, you did this here, so how could you do that? It's like, we are defining that box and we want the Lord to be in that box. So in one sense, we are saying it's kind of impersonal, but it's not. He's dynamic. And what's giving me hope in those times, that aren't you hearing me, Krishna? That Krishna is our well-wisher.
Yeah.
And we know that he's hearing. I mean, I'm sure for both of us, I can say, definitely with his reciprocation, we definitely know in the heart of our hearts that he is hearing. And we also have that faith that he is our well-wisher. So when that is somehow at the core, we can, it takes time and it's embarrassing at times. All those stuff comes out. But hey, it's wonderful, isn't it? It's all coming in the association of devotees instead of some random places.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Mataji. And when he doesn't listen, I mean, probably in hindsight, I will understand why that was not the right time, because there may be other things that would be worse if this happened now.
Right.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Haridwani Prabhu, sorry, you've been waiting.
No, I'm just happy listening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Please share any of those moments, Prabhu, if you want to enliven us.
I think it would be for myself, but I was like, me and Anand Raja were recently talking about I was in a way blessed to come into the moment quite early in my life, So I was just thinking that every time it so happened that I was in some way or the other slacking or was kind of losing the faith, it always happened. I was placed in such devotee association that kind of acted as a propulsion, like, rocket propulsion that helps you kind of move forward to the next phase. So it was always that, like, it was exactly placed, and it just so it's not uh, like the whole life kind of takes a turn where you were one day thinking, oh, is this process even for me? And then maybe I don't know if I was I can't exactly remember if I was praying that I kind of want to take it, but I always had this desire to kind of be in the process of devotional service to maybe a very tiniest extent possible, and just that desire in some way or the other was kind of helping me in those places through the orchestration of the Lord Himself, where I was kind of getting that motivation. It's always kind of blessings of the devotees and then the prayers. It's more than, I think it's more than my desire. It's the prayers of the devotees to make sure that I kind of don't deviate too much, so that kind of helps in a greater sense, I believe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and now I think we were basically looking back and seeing that even as moving to Naperville has kind of helped us in a lot of ways. Yes, that life has kind of become busy once we moved to Naperville and all of it, but at Kishore Kishori, once we came here, it kind of there were a lot of things, classes and other things happening. So it kind of established the base for us to become the parents. And once we became parents, then like life became busy, COVID and all of it. And then once we moved here, then like hearing Bhagavatam every day in the morning, and then like this, like the as you said, like Rompan Maharaj, we are kind of so blessed to have him so regularly, and then like the emphasis that he gives on each and every section of Bhagavatam, the prayers, whatnot, and like just so divinely blessed with that aspect. So we're just so happy to be here. Thank you to all of you.
Oh, thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, it's very inspiring the way you're sharing, like from the point that, oh, is it really for me? Is it really working? To immediate shift. I mean, like we hear this, right? Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha.
Yeah.
I used to question, hey, this is what it says. I have a little analytical and logical brain. It's like, oh, is it really real? What's happening here? Why is Krishna saying by, whoever Shukadeva Goswami says? But it's actually so true, as you're saying, from that place. I have had those moments in the Bhagavatam class. It's like, something blocks in the heart. And immediately, as if somebody removed it, I was like, what? What is that? And that is what that Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi Hoy. And how wonderful, right? As you're saying, all we are doing is just coming and being in that association in one sense. And that's all we need to do. Say yes. When somebody says, oh, can you please do this service or can you come to this class? We just have to say, get ready, and then be sitting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's 8:30. I can stop here. Thank you again for joining this morning, and for those of you who will be hearing later this discussion. I'll have a very wonderful day. All glories to Srimad Bhagavatam. All glories to all the wonderful devotees that we have the opportunity to associate with. Grandra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Pancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Hare Krishna.